I know that you think you might be able to do it on your own, but everybody needs a little help. So don't hesitate and just go for it. Like save yourself time, save yourself endless internal conversation. Just go for it.
Good.
That's what I did essentially. Yeah.
You're watching the Art of Applying's Client Case Study Series, where we sit down with our clients who have just been accepted into their dream graduate schools. We talk about their stats, acceptances, scholarships, and their advice and encouragement for other applicants just like you. If you're interested in getting my team's expert editing, guidance, and advice on your admissions journey, book a free 15-minute quick call with our team at the link in the description. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more success stories, application tips, advice, and encouragement. Now, back to the video. Hello, everyone. It's Kanisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying. We help people from all over the world get into their dream grad schools with as much money as possible to pay for it. Today, I am here with our amazing client, Emmanuel, here to share his story, his advice, his insight, and encouragement. And I'm really, really excited. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hey, Kanisha, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. First, I would love to know, because I know you are a person who travels all over the world. Where are you calling from today?
So I'm calling from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Yeah, where I've been based for the past 5 years.
Okay, wonderful. And then just quickly tell people where you're from and then the other places in the world that you spend time.
So I'm originally from the Caribbean, Martinique, which is a part of the French-Caribbean. So born and raised, essentially had to leave to pursue college education. And then, yeah, since then I've been living in France, a little bit in Canada, then spent some time in Côte d'Ivoire, and here I am now in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Okay, wow, fantastic. All right, so Emmanuel, as you know, we start all of our client calls at the Art of Applying with celebrations, and that's how I want to start our interview today. Tell me, what are we celebrating today?
Yeah, so I guess today we're celebrating the end of my journey towards getting into Harvard. So I had the pleasure to be accepted to the mid-career MPA program earlier this year. So hooray!
Yes, fantastic. And so did you apply to any other schools? Did you have any other acceptances?
No, and actually that was part of my strategy is that I really wanted to get into that specific program. So I thought at the time, which might be a risky decision, but I thought at the time that I would essentially put all I have into this one and see what happens.
Okay, and it worked one for one.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And that does happen. That degree in particular, the Harvard Kennedy School mid-career MPA, and I would even say the mid-career MPA Mason Fellows is one of the degrees that we see people be like, you know what, I'm going all in. I just want to apply to this one school. And it does often work out for our clients. So, and then Emmanuel, are you doing the Mason Fellows program part of the?
That's right. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Mason Fellow. Yeah.
Wonderful. So excited for you. Actually, since I've already mentioned the term so that people don't have to leave the interview and go Googling stuff, can you tell us a little bit about what makes the Mason Fellows program part of the mid-career MPA? What is it? What makes it different than just, I'm a mid-career at the Kennedy School?
Right. So what's interesting with it is that you basically get to interact. It's like a cohort within the cohort with people from various academic, geographic, cultural background, and mainly focus on emerging countries and environments, which is very interesting. And most of the time, obviously, the people that form part of the cohort are, pretty high-level professionals, which makes it even more interesting and engaging. So the way it works in practice is that before the program starts in August, we actually have a 2-3 weeks specific dedicated program for the Mason Fellows, where we, get to interact and get to know each other better. That's actually a pretty interesting subset of the broader program.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So the Mason Fellows were some of my favorite people when I was at the Kennedy School. Okay. So, Emmanuel, tell the audience whatever you feel comfortable sharing about your applicant profile, the types of things they like to know. You don't have to share
Mhm.
all these things, but if you're willing to, is your age. We already know you're from Martinique, but they would love to know
Mhm.
your age, what you studied in university, what your GPA was. Did you take the GRE?
Mhm.
What's your work experience? You know, what kind of company do you work for? How many years of work experience do you have? And just anything else about your personal or professional background that will help somebody be like, wow, okay, I identify with him or he's similar to me.
Mhm. Yeah, so for my age, it's 36. So I identify basically, entering the second half of the 30s. And so my background, I basically approached this entire journey with what I think a lot of people would call like the imposter syndrome, basically thinking that, you see all those great profiles, those great people with so many accomplishments, and you're like, oh wow, how would I even compare to those? And funny enough, actually, last year, and I think it was because of COVID, the Kennedy School received like a record number of applications. So that weighted in even more in my imposter syndrome. Basically, make me think, okay, you know what? I don't know where this is going to go, but let's give it a try. So in terms of background, I've been kind of in a soul searching mode for a while. When I graduated for college, I essentially had to pivot initially from physical science because I didn't have a clear pathway towards what that would allow me to do. Then I ended up into a Master of Science, specialized in finance, and I started to work within the finance world.
Okay, Emmanuel, sorry, let me stop you. Tell me what you studied for undergrad and then say your master's program for me.
That's right. So undergrad, like I said, it was physical science.
Oh,
So I had
physical
physical
science.
science, yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So that's essentially physics. So
Okay.
physics in all sort of shape or form. I did that until my bachelor.
Mhm.
But then, really what I saw is that I didn't have a clear pathway, in terms of where that would take me to start a professional career. So I decided that I would basically enroll into a business school to
Okay.
get uh, acquire skills in finance, uh,
Mhm.
which I did because obviously, that was like the most obvious thing to do. The financial industry is recruiting a lot. So at the time, that was like, okay, the low risk, sure bet. And I have to say that I also liked it because I like the fact that you could basically, use capital to support companies or projects to reach completion and grow, etc. So I started my career in a private equity fund for infrastructure, initially in Europe. And then very quickly, we had this idea that we would expand to Africa. And I joined the dedicated Africa team, still part of the same structure. And then, as I basically grew within the position and the role, I kind of developed a real taste for, public policy matters, and especially those that would be applied to urban resilience. So
The
what's
kind that would be what?
applied to urban resilience?
Urban resilience. That's a
Urban
beautiful
resilience,
phrase.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So essentially, I kind of wondered, all right, if I want to, thrive and evolve in that particular sector, what should I do? Should I like take a degree, or is my experience enough? And then very quickly, I think someone mentioned to me that the Kennedy School was really like the first prize in that regard. So I said, okay, you know what, fine. Let me look at it. I still have time, so all good. I'll just apply in due time. But then in the meantime, when I watch the program, the Kennedy School itself, and the alumni, I definitely, got triggered by this imposter syndrome, thinking, oh my God, I will never get in. That's that's impossible. But I think it was essentially thanks to various interactions. An alumni actually of the school, recommended a really great consulting firm that basically was helping people essentially get their stories right, and then realize what they have within themselves to then present it to the school application. And that's how I engage with the art of applying. And after, I think, what was a 6-month journey, I was ready to put my application in and then wait for the result that came earlier this year.
Wonderful. I didn't remember, Emmanuel, that you were referred to us. Was the person who referred you to us, were they a client of ours from the past?
Yeah, absolutely. They were a client. Yeah, that's right.
Ah, wonderful. I'll have to ask you after the video to remind me who it was, because
Sure.
I don't remember that. That's a wonderful.
No problem.
I think we get some of our very best clients from our past clients, because they know what it's like, and they can see other people that they think would really enjoy working with us. Oh, that thrills me. Okay. So, Emmanuel, you've told us a little bit about what the application process was like before we started working together. You were reading the website, looking at all these very impressive people and feeling some imposter syndrome. What else was difficult? What wasn't working in your application process to where you said, you know what, let me reach out to the Art of Applying after this person, this colleague has referred them? What wasn't working?
So for me, I think it was mainly time management, and also how to strategically frame my story for it to be really efficient and appealing to the admissions committee. And I mentioned time management because the work I'm doing is very demanding and time consuming. So I really wanted to have, this kind of a guardian angel that would be able to tell you, hey, these are your deadlines, and this is how you need to organize yourself in order to meet that deadline, that ultimate deadline of December 8th. So that was mainly it. And to be honest, I think I received also a great advice from the person who recommended the Art of Applying, was to say, you know what? I know that you think you might be able to do it on your own, but everybody needs a little help. So don't hesitate and just go for it. Like, save yourself time, save yourself endless internal conversation. Just go for it.
Good.
That's what I did, essentially. Yeah.
I'm so glad. And if my memory serves me right, you had your breakthrough call with me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So what was your experience like on the breakthrough call? What did you think it would be like, and what was it actually like?
So that was actually really interesting, because during the breakthrough call, so I didn't have like any specific expectation apart from knowing exactly what I was getting into. But then the result of that was pretty mind-blowing, in a sense that I think I saw and I understood that there was a way to actually frame my story in order to make it like more powerful. And I think the alignment I had after the breakthrough call was this one, basically saying, oh wow, so the way Kanisha basically, took all the bits and pieces that I was throwing at her and then rearranged everything in something that's consistent. I was like, okay, well, that's actually something I want to pursue.
Excellent. I love that. And that's just like a 90-minute call. You're like, wait, I can just give her a bunch of info, just kind of sharing here, sharing there, and then she can tell me my story back to me in a way that sounds like coherent and compelling. Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the breakthrough call is the recap, when we show like we have been listening to you.
That's right.
Wonderful. So then at the end of the breakthrough call, I'm like, okay, Emmanuel, it sounds like I do understand your story. And based on everything we've talked about today, I'm 100% confident we can help you solve all those problems. And I'd like to welcome you and to have you join us. So I invited you to be a client, and the choice is application accelerators, the signature program. And then we also have hourly coaching. I'd love to hear you share with us about, just, was it scary to make the leap to decide to work with us? So you did choose to do hourly coaching, but you didn't make a tiny investment. It was still a lot of money. Did you have any fears, doubts, or concerns about investing so much money into your application process and not knowing, how things would turn out?
I think there's still, the pressure because you're not sure what the outcome is going to be. But I think to cope with that and to mitigate that, the feeling I had after the breakthrough calls basically told me that no, there's definitely something important to explore and develop there. And then I decided that I would eventually go with the hourly coaching because I knew already that I had the various bricks that could be interesting for the school.
Mm-hmm.
I needed some help in basically putting them into motion and in something that would be coherent, like you said, and powerful. But I definitely understand that people coming from different backgrounds would need a little bit more help and preparation, more importantly. And in that regard, the accelerator program, in my opinion, felt like the right tool to use. Just that for me, where I was at that point, I didn't think, I thought that the hourly coaching was the best match.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it was for you. There's two things I'm kind of thinking of also that made hourly coaching a good match for you. One is that the mid-career program at the Kennedy School, when you're a Mason Fellow, you don't have to submit a test score. So that eliminates a huge burden in the application process, which we help a lot with in the application accelerator. And then number two, I would say the fact that you were only applying to one school, right? So we have the green light guarantee with the application accelerator, but I'm a very high risk appetite person, but I'm definitely never giving someone a green light guarantee for one school. So yeah, because you didn't need the guarantee and you didn't need the test prep, I understand. And then also applying to one school. So yeah, and I think you did a really great job of being very engaged in the program. I loved interacting with you on all the monthly all client Q&A calls. So you were a very active and engaged client to such a way that I wouldn't, without having been reminded, I wouldn't have even remembered that you were not in the accelerator. Okay, so let's talk about any feelings or fears. Was there any feelings or fears to take the leap to say, yeah, let's do it?
No, to be honest, no fears. I was really determined.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I wanted to get to the bottom of it and get in. So yeah, no, once the decision was made, I was fully committed and didn't have any second thought.
Okay, got it. And I'm just curious because I know that you are married, or maybe is she your fiance or your wife? I can't remember.
Married.
Married. Yeah. You're married, and then y'all have a baby. Was she on board? Were there other people that were like, wait a minute, this person on the internet says they'll help you? Was everybody on board?
No, I think so. I mean, the most important one is obviously my wife, and she was on board. I think her only question was to say, okay, but do you feel that you really need it? Like, can't you like just do that on your own and with the support of some friends? I was like, well, no, I really think, especially after that breakthrough call, I really think that's needed. So yeah, I think it's useful. And she was essentially extremely supportive, and I think it's an important part of the journey as well, because it basically allows you to get the necessary bandwidth for you to deliver on all that you have to deliver. Because indeed, this application is like pretty demanding. You're gonna have to dig into like all the corners of your life and try to take that out and expose it to the admission committee in a way that would be essentially appealing to them. So it takes time. It takes a lot of thinking, a lot of pausing, and then iteration also with your consultant to make sure that you get to that point where you're satisfied with what you've produced. So so I think the family support is critical for you to be able to have the mental availability to do that.
Absolutely. So Emmanuel, now that you have achieved your outstanding result, the one big thing you wanted, what's going to change, improve, or open up in your life and or career?
So we will see. Actually, I'm I'm pretty excited by the opportunity. Obviously, it's once in a lifetime, as we say. And it's interesting because I've been thinking about it, and I think there are essentially two ways of approaching this experience. You have a lot of people who basically want to pivot, completely reinvent themselves. So they come and they have this a flexible mind, and they're really like a sponge to everything that comes their way. I think I'm on the other hand of the spectrum, which is I have a pretty clear idea of what I want to get from the program. And I guess the challenge for me is going to be more to keep 10-15% of open mind for anything else that would be able to come my way and say, oh, wow, I never thought about this, or I never really, dug into this. So yeah, that's going to be let's say my approach for this upcoming year.
I love it. Actually, I think that's the perfect combination to be, let's say, 85% clear, focus, what you're going there for, the kind of courses you want, where you want to go after, but then to leave that 15% open for, learning about an industry you never really thought about or that you had misconceptions about, joining a student club you never thought you would, the ballroom dancing club or whatever, just making up things, and just that little bit of flexibility. I think that's the perfect combination. And then maybe for some of the younger people who are doing the MPP at the Kennedy School, they might want to have like a 70% clarity, 30% openness, that kind of breakdown. But what I will say for anyone watching this video is to do not think you have to be 85% clear before you come to us. A lot of that clarity is achieved through working with us.
Absolutely. No, definitely.
Wonderful. And so I would love to hear what happened when you told your wife, your friends, your colleagues that it happened and you got admitted and you're going to your dream school.
Oh, I think it was a a big thrill across the board. I think everybody was super happy. In my family, I'm literally like the first generation to actually go to college. And let alone Harvard. So it's interesting because even in my home country, I would say that people in my neighborhood would be genuinely happy for me because they know that yes, that's something great that happened, but without necessarily understanding the depth of it, which shows you that it's not. I'm not coming from the background of well prepared people. Right, laid down for them. So no, it's a great accomplishment and widely shared among my close circle.
Yes, wonderful. And Emmanuel, I would like you to say something to the person from the Caribbean who's watching your video. They've perked up when they hear you're from Martinique and they're like, okay, people are making it, from the Caribbean to these amazing schools, but who may be feeling like, oh, but I don't work in finance, or I haven't spent a lot of time in Europe. I'm working locally. I have a professional job. I've traveled to Europe a few times, but can I really make it? Can I do it? Maybe they do have a budget for getting some extra help, but they're just kind of wondering the same thing. Like, well, should I just, try and save that money? I don't know anyone who's ever gone to one of these schools. Can I really get in? Just what is some encouragement, insight? Speak directly to that person who's watching this video from the Caribbean.
Yeah, so I would say, no, you would never regret betting on yourself, and you are special. Just find what makes you special and try to get it out there. And I think that's the basis for everything. Then the rest takes care of itself. If it's money, then perhaps allow yourself some time to be more prepared, because indeed, and especially as a foreign student, one thing that everybody has to be aware of is that if you're not American or a green card holder, you're going to have to go through that financial certification process. So really make sure that from a budget standpoint, you are covered. And then, the rest is really like find the right support system to tell the story and yeah, put it out there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Emmanuel. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to work with you, to get to know you, to help you achieve your dreams. And I welcome to the Harvard family.
Thank you.
And yes, please keep in touch. I'm here for
Sure.
anything you need, personally and professionally. And yeah, just so happy to now be a part of one another's networks.
Fantastic. No, thanks a lot, Kanisha. It's been a great journey. And yeah, it's definitely one to remember for for the decades to come. I remember that feeling of having prepared and submitted my application. That alone felt great, and I was like, you know what? If the road ends here, that's fine. I'm good, because what I've been able to accomplish just by preparing that application was already something great. And then, the rest is basically history.
Absolutely. And the best history it could have possibly been. This is the beginning of the next chapter of your whole life and your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for watching. Are you ready to take your application process to the next level? The Art of Applying helps you get into the graduate school of your dreams and get money to pay for it. Book a free quick call from the link in the description to get started. And subscribe to our channel for more application tips and success stories.